限界なんてないって君の言葉. Hello and welcome everyone to today's video, which is the very delayed Victor deck profile. I would have done this earlier, but you know, there were 2 weeks between Stargate and GBT14, which already put some pressure. And honestly, like, university is cool and all, but when you're about to graduate, like, you run so low on time that it's actually beyond stressful. So I'm gonna try to go over this, you know, in as much, I would say in as much detail as possible, but I feel like you've heard most of these things from other people, so I'll just clarify some things, but mostly just go over it because people kept asking, and I would feel incomplete if I didn't do it myself. So we're actually gonna start off with the starter, which is actually not the Kabutron, I think that was the old one's name, but it's actually Victhead. So Victhead's skill is Forerunner, and when your unit stands due to the effect of your card, you can count +1 and slide it into the soul. If you do, draw a card and choose one of your units and give it +2k until end of turn, and if you have no face-up cards in your damage zone, you countercharge 1. So the reason why we run him is because at first this was even more relevant, because back when, you know, the deck first got updated, Overlord was still more relevant. Now Chaos is still relevant, and so this is basically like you want to get rid of him from your field before they get rid of it for you, so things like Kabutron will die instantly, so it's not that important anymore. Like, it's still the better starter, but I think this is just good because it's not GB1, you can get rid of it on your, like, grade 3 ride by just, you know, standing anything, and so that's really nice. And you get yourself an extra card in hand. He basically, if you play smart, he doesn't actually cost counterblast, and so you also get an extra soul, which is important for the deck. So he, overall, like, for a non-GB starter that you want to be using, he's actually not that bad. So I think he's alright for now. Like, once Chaos is out of the meta, so I guess once VBT01 comes around, and you still play Premium, or when Bermuda even comes around, he'll be, you know, maybe not as needed, but for now I think it's fine. Also, I will emphasize that this deck is still for the G format. There are some things I'll mention that are in consideration of the new rules, like with Sabreeze and with once per turn, but this is still with the old rulings, so like, don't flame me in the comments for using cards that you don't agree with just because they won't be good after the new rules or something. So, but anyway, the grade 3s, first one of which is obviously the brand new grade 3, which is Zubat Battler Victor. So Zubat has 2 skills. When your G unit strikes, you can count +1. If you do, draw a card and choose a card from your hand and call it to rearguard circle, and then choose one of your units, and at the end of turn give it a skill that once per turn when it attacks you stand under one of your rear guards. So you can give that skill to your Vanguard as well, which is really strong. And then the second skill is at the end of your turn, if the number of face-up cards in your damage zone is 1 or less, you countercharge 1, and if the number of cards in your soul is 1 or less, you soul charge 1, and if you both soul charge and countercharge, you draw an extra card. So really good grade 3. Overall, picked up the deck from nothing. Although I guess I wouldn't say from nothing, because it was always a fairly potent deck, but with this it just became so much better. You can ride up to 3 and do some combo plays that actually let you use the second skill on the, you know, turn 3 before he strides. So he actually makes it worth to ride up sometimes and not play the grade 2 game, because you're actually going to get an extra card out of this, and you're going to be able to withstand some units because of some of the new cards that do not have GB skills. So it's really good. His stride skill is nice because essentially, like, the call is forced, but you know, you get the draw from it. But regardless, the fact that you can give your Vanguard the on attack stand something skill is really nice on your first stride turns, and honestly at most points, but especially on first stride. Now for backups, I run the excessive Victor. I know some people prefer to play Angstrom. I just feel like you lose a bit of consistency by not playing this Victor, because you do have some skills, like your grade 2s have some skills where you really need to have the Victor grade 3, and so you lose out a lot if you don't have it. So I can still go over his skills really quick, but they're not that relevant apart from the first one. So that first skill is Vanguard and Rearguard Circle's Rush. GB2, when he stands due to the effect of your card, all of the units in your front row get +2 cancel of turn. It's not once per turn, so this does happen several times. And then if you do ride him, you know, unfortunately, then his stride skill is, you can give one of your Vanguards a skill that once per turn when it attacks a Vanguard, you can soul blast 1 if you do choose one of your rearguards with a rush ability and stand all rearguards in that column. So he's okay as a backup. Like, that skill is not super great. We mainly play him for his name, and also for the fact that his first skill actually helps you make some numbers at the same time, because it bumps up your 9Ks to 11 in case you need that to be done. Now the new and, well, one of the best grade 2s for the deck is Golshachi. So Golshachi has the skill if you have a Vanguard with Victor in his card name, so that's what I mentioned. He gets resist, so not GB1. And when this unit attacks, you can count +1 if you do choose one of your other rearguards and stand it. Again, not on GB1, which is the reason why we play the Vict head at all, because you can stand anything with this guy, and Vict head will proc because something was stood by an effect and not on GB1. But his second skill is a rush once per turn GB2. When he stands to the effect of your card, he gets +7k, meaning he swings for a 16 on his own. With winning, that's immediately 21 or just one unit, no boost, which is really, really cool. So overall, in my opinion, basically the best grade 2 in the deck right now, because he does everything at once. Like, he stands something, he swings for 16 on his own, he's not on GB1 to stand, he has resist, so many factors are, you know, the reason why Golshachi is so damn good. Now this next card I think I'll have to explain a bit. I play 3 Sazanda and not Sever Temper. So just as a quick reminder, Sazanda's skill is GB1. When he stands with the effect of one of your cards, he gets +5k until end of turn. It's a misprint here, it's until end of turn, not until end of battle. So the reason why is because with winning, which is our main first stride, and you know, even more than that if you wish, but essentially with winning, his skill is, you know, it procs every time something stands. So thing is, like, you'll be GB1 because you'll have Stridden, and then like when winning champ procs, you will be able to flip one face up, but there is a explanation behind the reason why Sever Temper doesn't proc on the first stand, because it's essentially, even if you resolve winning first, it misses the timing because you weren't on GB2 at the time of Sever Temper restanding. So it's the fact that Sever Temper is GB2, so it misses the timing on the restand, because even when you restand, only then you can resolve winning, and at that time you won't be able to apply, you know, you won't be able to get the power from Sever Temper on, like, you know, from, you know, his skill, because you will not have been GB2 at the time it stands. You know, with Sazanda you will get the power, and another reason is that, like, sure, you can say Sever Temper gives you the retire, but winning has the retire too. So essentially I think Sazanda is the better target again. Like, Sever Temper is still a good card, but I think it just doesn't really work with what you want to be doing right now. Next I play 3 Ninjard. I think this is the one card that might go up to 4 after the new rulings are implemented. So his skill is once per turn GB1. When he attacks, if you have a Vanguard with Victor in its card name, you can count +1. If you do choose one of your other rearguards, stand it, and that unit and this unit get +2k until end of turn for each face-up card in your G-zone. So the reason why I said that we would put him up to 4 is because now you can, because of that new once per turn ruling, you don't have to resolve this on the, like, when he attacks for the first time. So you can attack with him without, like, with having everything else at stand. You just don't proc it, and then when you stand again, you can proc it the next time. So it's like, because like when you attack with him first, you might not have any G units face up, like on a first strike turn. So like, then like you don't need to use it. And then after you've, like, you know, use your winning skill a few times, gotten a few G units face up, and then you stand him again, and then you attack with him, you got like 3 or 4 G units face up, and suddenly he's getting like +6k, +8k. So with the new once per turn ruling, this will be strong, but again, the new once per turn ruling won't be in effect until like June or July or August. I think probably like July or August, honestly, in English. So that's going to be a bit different. It's different for Japanese. For Japanese, I think it's in May, actually, that the new ruling comes into effect. Somebody asked that, but yeah, so he will become better later. For now, he's still a good card because he makes nice numbers. He's not that good as a first attacker, so that's why, like, I like to have the Sazanda, and also this is a good first attacker. So it's just in general, like, there are things you can do apart from the Ninjard, but Ninjard is still really nice. Other card that I like and I play 2 of is Magical Performer. She scales really well into, you know, your later turns, honestly, even your second stride. So her skill is Rush once per turn. When this unit stands due to the effect of your card, this unit gets +5 until end of turn for each face-up card in your G-zone. So again, she's kind of like Ninjard in the once per turn aspect. But I already explained the once per turn aspect, so basically, like with her, it's really nice because she can scale and power really well. I don't think she's good enough for a 3 or 4 of, maybe 3, but definitely not 4. But the fact that, like, even on first stride, like, she will be standing with like a +10k very fast. And also there's a difference between her and Sever Temper. Even if you stand her from winning, her condition will actually be met because she's non-GB1. So Sever Temper gets cucked out of his GB2 because of the GB2. So like it doesn't proc yet, but she will actually get her +5k from even one face-up G unit because she will stand from her own skill. Then winning can proc to put a G unit face up to give her +5k. and then she will see you can resolve her effect of when this unit stands to still give her 5k. So because they both proc at the same time, but it's just like with Sever Temper, even though they proc at the same time, it's just that Sever Temper's GB2 isn't live yet at the time of it proccing. Well, with her, it actually is. So that's a little bit different. I had to ask judges to explain it to me. It's also a bit confusing. Moving along into the grade 1s, the first really amazing grade 1 we have is Hawk at 3. So Hawk's skill is GB1 at the end of the battle that he boosted, a rear guard. If you have a Victor Vanguard, then you can count +1 and slide him into the soul. If you do draw a card, stand the boosted unit, and he gets +2k power until end of turn. One important thing is that this is not once per turn, meaning that with it not being once per turn on your PogChamp turns, so your favorite champ Victor turns, you can choose to not resolve it the first time, to not, let's say like you only had like 4 units on the field and one of them got Denial Griffin or something, you can choose to not resolve this immediately, so you keep it on the field and you can keep proccing favorite champ, because like if you lose it then you can't proc favorite champ anymore because you have less than 3 units. So you need to essentially, in those matchups, like be careful with, you know, not using this too early, because you might actually lose out on the actual skill. Like that actually happened to me once. So important thing to note, but overall very good card. He's basically a Jeffrey that stands something, it draws you a card, it gains some power, it's overall just really good. Next up is another grade 1 that's almost too good to exist, which is Gunsden. So he has an act once per turn, GB1 rest him, choose up to 5 of your rear guards, and until end of turn they get resist. And then rush once per turn when he stands due to the effect of your card. This unit gets +4k until end of turn for each face-up card in your G-zone. So that first skill is really insane. He would have been a 4 of, I think, back when Overlord was a bit more relevant, but now with it falling out I don't think it's as relevant. But still, like full field resist in a clan like this is really huge. Plus that second skill is also not too shabby, honestly, because you can build up some really huge power with him as well, especially on like second stride or anything like that. So Gunsden is really good. Both of them are really good. I like a 3-3 split right now. I think depending on meta it can be shifted around a little bit, but they're both equally as good right now, and that's why I like to play 3-3. Next, the self-explanatory for Stride Fodders / Victor Searchers, in case you need to search for your Zubat, because that's really important. And then my 4 perfect guards are actually Baryon. So his skill is, when you guard with him, you can, you know, discard a card for perfect guard if you do choose a Victor unit and it cannot be hit, and then you can count +1 to draw a card. So I like to use him right now because you can easily use this and flip through a bunch of Counterblast, and then you'll be able to pull off Zubat's skill easier, and also like your G-guards are a bit more effective too if you flip through all your Counterblasts. So in a way it's actually good, and like overall I quite like it. So I think it's a really nice perfect guard. Also gets you an extra card in hand for your favorite champ turns. So overall it's a really nice perfect guard. Some people don't like it and they play different ones, but I think it's a good one, and so overall it's quite nice. One thing I also forgot to mention is that don't forget that Zubat's skill is end of turn, so it does resolve after your stride, in case you didn't already realize that. Next, for triggers, we play 4 of the unlocking crit. So it either unlocks 2 or it countercharges, well, 2, but technically 1 because you have to count +1 to pay the skill. So really like unfair crit, honestly. Like the fact that they got this and an unlocking G-guard is quite ridiculous, honestly. And you can also, like, one thing I saw people mention, you can actually like countercharge 1 and unlock 1. Like, it's not, because you choose up to 2 from circle and damage, so you can choose 1 of each if you want to. So it's definitely like basically the best crit right now, and definitely really good. For as long as Chaos is around, this is going to be really important in both G format and in Premium. Then we play 4 Victor crits because the soul is nice, the extra card in hand is nice, and just overall it's a nice card. And then I play 4 Gachi Walls because I think most people are playing it now, but when I first started playing it, this was a bit more of like an uncommon thing, so I will go over his skill properly. So he has Rush, GB1. When he stands due to the effect of your card, you can put him on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card and choose one of your rear guards and stand it and shuffle your deck. So the reason why he's played is because on a first stride winning turn, you can actually use him together with, let's say, with your Golshachi, and then you can essentially like boost him with the Golshachi to stand him with the Golshachi. The attack will still go through, and then stand something else to basically put yourself just like up your GB counts really fast, and just overall hit for bigger numbers much faster. And so in that sense I really like it. It also draws you an extra card, and I think it's not that bad. And even if you get the stand skill off, which like you probably won't most of the times, I think it's still a very nice card overall. And then finally for heals, I play 3 of the countercharge / Soul Charge 1, and then 1 Gun Seal, because when you actually pay for the G-Guard that, you know, for Gun Dreed, you can actually get an extra counter charge off, so if you want to like burst through a bunch of counter charges, then, you know, you can do that. So, but I already mentioned, both in Messiahs and in Cosmic Heroes, I really like this lineup of 3-1, so I do that in basically most of my decks where I can actually do that. So it's overall nice. I think it's pretty cool. So that's it for the main decks. Now we'll quickly go over the G-Zone. So now for the G-Zone, obviously the first card is gonna be the brand new Winning Champ Victor at 2 actually. So Winning Champ's first skill is, we've been referencing it throughout the whole deck profile without going over him. When your rearguard stands, you can Soul Blast 1 and flip a G unit face up. If you do that unit and this unit, get plus 5k until end of turn. So it flips up your G units like crazy, to the point that if you have like 2 G-Guards in hand, you can actually basically do second stride GB8. That's how much it can flip up. So it's pretty wild, and it's overall really good because it scales up power throughout your, you know, battle phase really well, and it's just overall super strong. But there's a cherry on top, which is the GB3 that you can also activate on first stride. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked, you draw a card, choose one of your opponent's rearguards with the lowest power, and retire it. So yet another extra card in hand, which is super nice. So he gets you an extra card in hand, he gets you a lot of field pressure, he gets a retire off, he has so many things going for him, and then with Zubat you can get even more advantage after that. So really good card. I play him at 2 because while playtesting at first I was like, oh, I can get away with 1, but I realized that there are scenarios where you actually want to go into him twice, because that extra plus 5k can actually do a lot. And like the fact that you flip up G units for like skills like your Ninjad, where you actually want more face-up G units, is really nice. So I think in that aspect it actually helps quite a lot. So I think 2 is a pretty good number, but you can also get away with 1, but I think overall I'm more comfortable with 2. Then we play 2 of the Meteor Kaiser Victor. There are some very like situational scenarios where I do like to go for this once I've like got the on attack skill, because then it's like you can also give Zubat skill to him, so then when you attack you stand 2, and then if it hits you stand a third one. So it's kind of okay. Like sometimes on like second stride, if I'm like I can't really finish it yet, like it's not time for favorite champ, I don't have enough for my GB8, and I don't want to use Victoplasma because like they have too much cards in hand and it's not going to kill them yet, or they have too many PGs. So I want to kind of like split up these stands and like you do a bit more standing, because this doesn't really do much standing. You rely on your rear guards to stand. Well, with this you actually get more stands off. So I think like it's still fine to play 2, because there are some situations where you actually want to go for the second pair. Then I play the 1 favorite champ. Obviously the favorite champ is still really good. It's your main win con, which you can achieve really easily right now, and I'll go over the skill for those of you that don't know it. So it's GB2. At the end of the battle that he attacked, you can count him as 2 and discard a card from your hand, and if you do, you stand up to the same number of your rearguards as the number of face-up cards in your G-Zone, and if you stood 3 or more cards, you discard 3, and if you discard another extra 3, then you countercharge 1 and stand him, and he gets drive -2 until end of turn, and that skill is not once per turn, meaning on second stride you can essentially have enough G units face up, enough damage face up, and enough cards in hand that you can, you know, attack with field, attack with him, counter+2, dish 1, stand field, then countercharge 1, dish 3 more, stand him, and then do that again and again and again until they die. So after the first attack, you'll attack with the 3 drives, then you attack with 1 drive, and then you attack with 0 drives after that, so you will not be drive checking anymore, but it's still a very scary card regardless. Then I play 3 Victoplasmas actually, so I'll go over skill quickly. Counterblast 2 and Persona Flip if number of face-up cards in your G-Zone is 2 or more. Until end of turn he gets drive -1, and at the end of the battle that he attacked the Vanguard, you can discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, stand him, and you can't use the ability for the rest of that turn. So reason why 3 is because there might be those, well, with the current rulings, you might have those scenarios where you can like stride into him and you have 4 face-up counterblast, so you counterblast 2, flip 1 face-up, and then he doesn't gain the skill, like the red text skill, so you can still counterblast 2 and flip another 1, and then suddenly he can actually use the skill, because now you have 2 or more face-up G units, and you get the restand on first stride, which is definitely really sexy. None of your other strides can restand on first stride, so it's overall quite good. It's the same as the ace, but once the new rulings, the new once per turn rulings come in, this will change. So do keep that in mind. It's the same ruling as the ace, so basically it's just a cool thing. I play 3 because like of that scenario, but also because sometimes when I know I'm not gonna use him, like I can flip 1 up safely with winning champ, sometimes you actually, like, you're flipping up things for winning champ and you actually get into these situations where you're like, what should I even flip up anymore? Because it's like, well, I kind of want to use these maybe. So it's a bit tricky sometimes, but so this, like, one of them is a really safe target. And then I play 1 GB8, which is Dragger, so the actual Omegamon from Digimon. So skill is GB8. When he attacks a Vanguard, you can count plus 1. If you do stand all of your rear guards, and until end of turn, they get the once per turn skill. When this unit rests, you stand it immediately, and he gets plus 5k until end of that battle for each of your rear guards. So hits for a lot himself, and basically doesn't just restand your field, but essentially restands it twice. So that's really, really nice, and then you can still reuse the effects that aren't once per turn. So really, really good for a GB8. Normally, I mean, for a GB8 it's not super amazing, but for a second stride, let's say, this is really, really good. So sometimes that's exactly what you need to finish the game, and that's why it's still really good. Then we play the 1 Stark. This doesn't have as much power as it does in Gallop because you can double its power, but it's still really good in my opinion because 3 attacks is still not something to laugh at because, you know, at 36k it's still really, really good. So I like the Stark. It's not necessary though, you can not play it, you can play something else. It's definitely not necessary in this deck. Then I play the 1 Sabreeze because we don't have a rule change yet, and I think even after the rule change I'll still play it. But just because, like, if anything, it's an easy flip target for winning, so you're not really losing out on much. I play 1 Unior. Skill is very simple. When you G-guard with it, if you have no face-up damage, you counter-charge 2 and plus 5k shield, and if you have no soul, then you soul charge 2 and plus 5k shield. So the no soul is quite likely, but so is the no counterblast, but the no counterblast one is even more likely in my opinion because you can manipulate it with the perfect guard, which is, as I mentioned earlier. And then we have 2 Dogan Titan. You could potentially play 3. I think 3 is also perfectly fine. His skill is if the number of rear guards is less than your opponent's, then he has plus 10k shield, but more importantly he has the Act G-Zone skill that you can Soul Blast 1 and turn him face up. If you do, you choose a card in your circle or in your damage zone and turn it face up. So you either counter charge or you unlock, and so that's really, or undelete actually. I actually use, like, if it's not a Link Joker matchup, you can actually just counter charge yourself for a better PogChamp turn, so it's really nice. And you can actually, what's nice is that you can, for example, go on Victoplasma, activate his skill, like if these are your only face-up ones, and then you can still turn them face down and it'll still be fine because you already activated the skill. And the same thing applies for like Victor and anything that requires face-up G units basically, so it's really, really cool. Then I played the 1 Dismal. I got this, the Comic Fiesta 2017 Dismal from the one and only Joshua Rava. He passed it to me when he was in Japan briefly in, I think it was still December, or was it January? I think it was still December. But anyway, so just Dismal because it's still a nice card because it still doesn't let you lose a rear guard at times, and like in some matchups that's still really, really nice, and I do like it for that. But you could play another copy of Dogan Titan if you wish instead. And then I play 1 of Gundreed because sometimes there will be times when like you flip through all your counterblast, but you actually need at least like 1 or something before you can flip it face up with Zubat. So you just like put this down and like flip through all of it again, and then that basically gives you more flexibility in your plays in my opinion. So that's it for the G-Zone, and that's basically it for the deck as well. I'm glad to finally get this out of the way because I think it's a really cool deck, and despite what others say, I think this is still a really strong deck and it'll keep performing well in the meta because it has a lot of unfairly strong cards. So no matter the GBT14 and Bermuda meta, I think Victor is always going to be a solid pick. We'll see how that changes with the, with Premium in the future, but for now in G format, this is basically one of the biggest hurrahs for Stargate because Victor is one of the best decks out there. So definitely super good deck overall. I really recommend picking it up if you can. It's a bit expensive in English, it's nowhere near as expensive in Japanese, but I think by the time I'm posting this it'll probably have dropped a little bit. So that's gonna be it for me today. Don't forget to check out the social medias in the description and hit that bell button, as well as join the Discord channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to let me know what you guys think of the deck profile, if there's any changes you would make. I focused on Gallop testing a lot. I still did some testing with Victor obviously because I wouldn't be posting this otherwise. I'm gonna get to testing Gavriel with Ultima soon. I've been that busy with uni that I haven't played a single game with the deck yet, but I do want to release that video as well before we move on to the next era. So that's it for Victor. Again, I think it's a really good deck, but I've already said that. So let me know what you guys think. If there's any questions, do leave them in the comments, as well as any other feedback. So on that note, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.